Christmas Day cooking day 1. Cranberry sauce, chopping, egg bread, sweet potato souffle, and pie. William Hovey Smith, 2018. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting. And although I mostly cook wild game, this Christmas I didn't happen to have a wild turkey to cook. So consequently, I was gifted a store-bought one, and that's what we're going to prepare for our Christmas dinner, along with the rest of the fixings. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. And it is Christmas time, and it is presently 3 days before Christmas. And I have my turkey out to thaw, as you see here. And I'm starting my preparation for my Christmas meal. Now, what we're attempting to do is cook as much ahead of time as possible. Now, the menu that I'm going to be doing is going to include turkey and dressing, a southern cornbread dressing recipe, and a sweet potato souffle, and rice, and the dressing that goes along with the turkey, as well as a sweet potato pie. This is a menu I'm going to be contributing to our family's Christmas dinner. And this includes a roasted turkey, cornbread dressing, giblet gravy, cranberry sauce, sweet potato souffle, enhanced sweet potato pie, dill deer potato salad, boiled eggs go in that, and chopped celery and onions, which are used in several of the recipes. So these are the dishes I'm going to be making. What I'm doing now is as much in the way of preparation as possible. I've already made my cranberry sauce, and that's here. And as you see, it's set. This is a very simple thing to do. You get a package of cranberries from Walmart or some other mass market. You add some water, you put it in a pot, and you just boil it. And the cranberries will pop. And when they do, they release enough pectin that they will actually gel and set. And so you let this reduce down till it's very stiff indeed. Then you taste and you add sugar, or, since I'm a diabetic, a sugar substitute. And you sweeten it to taste. You don't want it to be absolutely sweet, sweet, sweet. But you do want to cut the harsh flavors of the cranberries just a little bit. This is the first time I've ever bought celery here at Christmas time that was so old. This is okay for cooking and I'll use it, but for things like stuffed celery where you want a fresh, crisp celery, this is way beyond the pale. A fastidious produce guy would have taken all this stuff off the shelf. That's inexcusable. We're going to go ahead and trim it though and use it. What I'm doing with the celery is taking my knife and splitting it in half. And then, now that they're uniform lengths, with this knife I'll be able to chop practically the whole stalk at once rather than doing it one piece at a time. So we now have everything uniform length, and we may proceed. Okay, so now your celery is chopped. And we can find a container and put it in, and we'll use this for the dressing and also my dill deer potato salad. I've made a practice of including recipes in all of my softcover hunting and wild game books. And the turkey recipes in particular are in Backyard Deer Hunting and also Extreme Muzzleloading. My newest book, Create Your Own Job Security, Plan to Start Your Own Business at Midlife, is obviously a business book, and one that is needed in these uncertain economic times. And I'll tell you more about that at the end of the video. We've chopped up our onions and celery, and the next thing we're working on here is egg bread, which is the principal component of the pan dressing that we'll make. Typically called cornbread dressing, for obvious reasons. And the constituents are 4 cups of yellow cornmeal, a teaspoon each of salt, sugar, baking soda, and baking powder that I previously whisked through, 2 eggs that you see, 2 tablespoons of some fat. One could use Crisco, lard, canola oil, anything in that neighborhood will do. And now we're going to add milk and beat it up and put it in the oven at 350 degrees. About that much milk to start. Traditionally, a wedge of it with some syrup and butter would be breakfast. Okay, still a little stiff. You want it to just be able to pour so you can shake the bubbles out. And now just give it a good shake. Okay. And into the oven at 350 degrees. And you'll know it's done when it's brown around these leading edges here, and also starts to pull away from the pan, and you can touch it and it's firm on the inside. I'm going to do 2 sweet potato dishes. One is going to be a sweet potato souffle, which has eggs, nuts, raisins, vanilla, and a sugar substitute in it. And the other is a sweet potato pie, which I'm going to enhance by adding some coconut and some other additives. But the first task is actually to peel these sweet potatoes, chop them up, put them in a pot on the stove and boil them till they're tender. Then I'll crush them and separate them into 2 batches. Of course, one for the pie and one for the souffle. There is an alternative method of doing this, and that is to actually bake them rather than boil them. But if you do that, you get a discoloration of the sweet potato. So peeling and boiling on top of the stove gives a better looking product. Otherwise, you'll have some brown and black streaks running through your souffle, or your pie for that matter. So, we chop them up in chunks about like this, and immediately put them in water. Similarly to Irish potatoes, these will oxidize if they're left out very long. Okay, and so we'll proceed. We have our sweet potatoes, and I have taken a stick of butter, a 1/4 pound of butter, and started, and as you can see they're mashing up well. What we're going to do is season this with vanilla and spices first before adding the eggs. There'll be a 6 eggs in here. And before we start adding the nuts and raisins that'll go in the sweet potato souffle. Vanilla is pretty strong, so you don't want to overdo it. If you do, you can make it bitter. I'm going to add some cinnamon. That's good for both the pie and the souffle. And we're going to add some Splenda now. I'm a diabetic, so consequently I use Splenda rather than sugar. So now I can separate out what I'm going to use to make the pies with. Okay, so this much is for pies. We now have raisins. Okay, and we have nuts. First thing to do is taste the pecans and make sure they're not rancid. And these are good. Those can go back in the freezer. Taste. A few more raisins. Add more sugar. Eggs. For this amount of souffle, I'm going to add 5 eggs. This adds richness and flavor and also coherence. Okay, the beater has done its job. Now we go to a spoon. Because the product contains raw eggs, I will no longer taste it until we've had a chance to cook it. So we're going to put this in containers and put it in the oven and go ahead and cook. Now we have our pie mix ready. And to differentiate this from what we made before, from the sweet potato souffle, we have added coconut, half of one of these frozen packages. And we've also added walnuts instead of pecan. So that will give this a little different flavor profile. And we also added nutmeg. And we added 3 large eggs. So this is getting ready to put in the shells, and we're using graham cracker shells, although any will do. And we'll see how many we do here. If there's any excess, by the way, this freezes very well. It has nothing in it to make it rise, so you can go ahead and fill it completely. There we go. And we do the other likewise. And put it in the oven. After our first day of Christmas cooking here, what have we got? Well, we got our celery, our onions cut, So that is done. We have our sweet potato dishes done. This is the sweet potato souffle. And we have 2 pies that are just out of the oven and they're cooling right now. Another sweet potato souffle. This is the one we'll actually serve. And also, our egg bread is cooked. And incidentally, as you saw, this has only a teaspoon of sugar in the whole thing. So this is not a sweet cornbread. And we have our cranberry sauce done. And our turkey is still thawing. It is cold to the touch, so it's still in good shape. And we'll probably just put it outside in the 40-degree weather for the night and let it continue to slowly thaw. In my outdoor books, including Backyard Deer Hunting, these include recipes besides deer recipes, by the way. And I have a more expanded version of the recipes in extreme muzzleloading, and also recipes in crossbow hunting, as well as, of course, fish and related recipes in practical bow fishing. My newest book, Create Your Own Job Security, is a business book that encourages entrepreneurship. What it does is teaches people on how to start their own businesses at different times in their lives to accomplish whatever goals they need to do. This may be raise immediate money. This may be something to do after retirement. This may be something to do after you've been suddenly laid off from your job that you've held for 20 years. And this tells you how to set up, choose, select your best business options for that period. And it is available, as are all of these books, from Amazon.com, and you may also order from your local bookstores. Now, all of the cooking I'm going to do, including the turkey in the next video, will be done in a 350-degree oven. For more detailed videos, I did a series 4 days of Christmas cooking, which shows some of these same dishes in more detail. For written versions of my recipes, you can find those in my softcover outdoor books, which are available from Amazon.com and many other sources. For information about my 18 books, blogs, and more than 725 videos, you can go to my website, www.hoviesmith.com. For information on my new business book, you can go to createyourownjobsecurity.com. For information on my handmade cooking knives, you can go to Hobie's Knives of China blog.co. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.